各位傳媒朋友午安，我係油尖旺區議員平台嘅籌委李傲然。喂，係各位傳媒嘅朋友午安，我係油尖旺區議員平台嘅籌委李傲然。今日我哋嘅記者會咁先為大家介紹翻我哋今日出席嘅籌委。咁首先係有離島區議員梁國豪、九龍城區議員李顯朗、沙田區議員李子華、屯門區議員曾正興、葵青區議員張文龍，後面嘅係元朗區議員黃百宇，跟住係荃灣區議員謝文澤、深水埗區議員黃傑朗，以及黃大仙區議員岑宇軒。唔好意思個咪收得唔係好。今日嘅記者會將會分為兩部分，咁首先會由離島區議員籌委會嘅發言人梁國豪宣讀粵語嘅聲明，再由九龍城區議員平台嘅籌委李顯朗宣讀英語嘅聲明。由於時間同埋場地所限，今次嘅記者會將不設答問環節，希望各位體諒。Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming. This is Owen Lee, the Yeochimong District Councillor, and the preparatory committee for the deliberative platform. Other committee members are Mr. Leung Kok Ho, member of the Island District Council, Mr. Timothy Lee, member of the Kowloon City District Council, and Mr. Raymond Lee, member of the Sha Tin District Council, Mr. Chris Chung, member of the Tuen Mun District Council, Mr. Dennis Chung, the member of Kwai Ching District Council, Mr. Henry Wong, member of the Yuen Long District Council, Mr. Ken Wong, member of the Sham Shui Po District Council, Mr. Ronald Cheng, member of the Chin Wan District Council, and then Dr. Ali Sham, member of the Wong Tai Sin District Council. Mr. Leung Kok Ho, member of the Island District Council, and our spokesman will read the Cantonese statements, followed by the English statement. Mr. Timothy Lee, member of the Kowloon City District Council, will read the English statement. Due to the time constraint here today, the committee will not take question after the reading of statements. 以下落嚟嘅時間有請梁國豪議員。
大家好，個聲 O 唔 OK 啊？係咪都要大聲翻少少？係好，咁我嚟好。我係梁國豪，離島嘅區議員，係籌委會嘅發言人。大家午安。自從2019年6月反送中運動爆發以嚟，香港政府同埋中共對我哋香港人嘅打壓一直有增無減，日復日咁樣將我哋嘅年青人喺街頭被警暴所凌辱，無數嘅手足被捕入獄。更加可悲嘅係，有唔少人甚至被迫選擇流亡他鄉，同一片土生土長嘅土地從此一樣永隔。事實上，我哋所珍視嘅自由、民主、廉潔、法治等等嘅價值，自主權移交以來就不斷被蠶食。我哋慢慢咁樣失去咗集會自由，失去咗政治自由，失去咗言論自由，甚至失去埋單企喺條街嘅咁卑微嘅自由，我哋都失去埋。而我哋嘗試向我哋一直所信賴嘅獨立法庭去尋求公義嘅時候，我哋先發現原來法治一早已經死咗。曾經緊執呢個基本法保護香港市民嘅法庭，今日已經變成 DQ 民選議員、執行國安法，乃至將一個又一個嘅香港人送入監獄嘅法律工具。喺過去幾年，自從 DQ 梁天琦之後，政府對議會嘅控制就不斷收緊。正如政府今年宣布取消立法會選舉，改立呢個臨時立法會，但係又喺之後又出爾反爾地 DQ 咗4位臨時立法會嘅泛民議員。我哋必須醒覺，香港人民主之路唔可以再單咁依靠住議會嘅路線，我哋更加積極咁樣組織民間力量，從而凝聚一個團結又堅定嘅公民社會，以至更可能係抵抗到暴政嘅進侵。有見及此，亦同時回應國安法嘅頒布，我哋喺今年嘅6月6號 17區民主派聯合會議上邊，我哋一班嘅區議員就提出呢個動議，提倡咗聯合本港18區區議會議員，成立香港公民議政平台，就香港之問題與民共議，並當場獲12個區議會嘅議員嘅同事同意通過。自此就展開咗籌備平台嘅工作。我哋堅信，對於一個成功嘅公民社會，一個成功嘅議政平台，以及對香港整體未來而言，民主派以及全體香港人嘅團結係非常重要。我哋極希望平台能夠將香港人團結唔同勢力、超越黨派成見嘅第一步。正因為咁，我哋過去嗰6個月嘅籌備工作，我哋極其重視唔同板塊嘅民意代表咧去溝通，並且將我哋盡可能嘅力量咧去不斷咧邀約政治光譜上邊唔同嘅朋友。截至到12月21號為止，籌備委員會一共有27個籌委加入，包括咗港島、九龍東、九龍西、新界東、新界西5個區嘅代表，亦包含光譜唔同嘅同埋唔同嘅政黨嘅議員。同時，我哋亦得到唔少議員咧喺承諾咧平台咧正式成立之後咧係會加入，情況咧非常令人鼓舞嘅。籌委會咧都留意到保皇黨同埋黨報對我哋所謂呢個播獨亂港嘅平台嘅抨擊。政府最近突然高調指稱我哋係非法平台嘅指控，以及呢個徐英偉咧再次以呢個國安法萬能 key 咧去恐嚇我哋嘅講法。籌委會必須指出呢啲嘅攻擊完完全全係一個笑話嚟嘅。平台嘅宗旨從來都極為清晰，就係反映香港人真實意願，謀求香港人嘅共同福祉。籌委會本來已經有計劃喺平台成立之後，會就住全港嘅民生議題，包括明日大嶼發展、巴士路線重組、啟德醫院工程等等，去促進呢個跨區合作，為民發聲，爭取民生。試問如實咁樣反映民意、關注民生議題，又點樣犯法呢？然而，我哋必須承認嘅係，唔同板塊對政府嘅威脅嘅反應都唔一樣。我哋一路以嚟不斷咁邀請唔同嘅政治勢力去見面，當中包括泛民主派、本土派、各區唔同嘅地區素人組織以及初選勝出者。然而，我哋再三邀請部分嘅傳統民主，sorry， 呢度叫做多次啊！我哋仍然再次邀請部分民主傳統政黨，並且以呢個好長嘅時間嚟等待。我哋嘅回覆往往都只係暫不討論，令到成件事寸步難行，陷入僵局。而喺12月22號，亦有黨媒放風，會 DQ 民主派區議員之後，部分嘅泛民傳統政黨嘅高層即時發表割席嘅言論，同埋實際上限制咗黨員參與平台嘅行為，不單止令到平台做唔到呢個團結唔同勢力、超越黨派成見呢個初衷，更加嘅係極大動搖咗香港市民對我哋平台嘅信心。籌委會喺今個月嘅29號晚，就住部分傳統政黨嘅最新取態同埋最新嘅形勢，召開咗緊急嘅會議。籌委會喺度諮詢咗唔同嘅政治板塊嘅意見。經過咗好艱難嘅討論之後，得出咗最終嘅結論。籌委會要喺度忍痛宣佈，基於平台現已不可能實現團結唔同勢力、超越黨派嘅成見嘅初衷，香港公民議政平台籌備工作被迫立即終止。籌委會將會即日解散。籌委會強調嘅係，我哋理解同埋尊重唔同朋友對香港嘅形勢會有唔同嘅判斷，亦都明白每一個人對政治打壓嘅反應都唔一樣。但係我哋無需自欺欺人。喺今日無的放矢、三安白造、濫捕濫告、白色恐怖，呢啲就係政府嘅武器。 而極權嘅打壓只會越嚟越大，絕對唔會突然收手。籌委會認為極權嘅打壓係我哋全香港人都要共同面對嘅難關，而我哋身為民意嘅代表，相對住無權無勢無資源嘅一般嘅市民，喺面對極權打壓嘅時候，更應該以身作則，勇敢面對。只有咁樣先可以對住我哋投我哋每一票嘅選民。籌委會喺度都借住今日嘅機會去解釋。恰如我哋今日一再提到平台嘅初衷係團結唔同勢力，超越黨派成見。我哋一直以最開放嘅態度去籌備平台，邀請所有民主派嘅議員參與，從來不設既定立場，並且一直兼容並包咁唔同嘅意見。喺呢6個月以來，平台不論方針、架構同埋形式，都經歷過多次嘅建議同修改。籌委會係由唔同嘅立場同埋唔同政治背景嘅議員係組成嘅。我哋有留意到有啲平台有朋友認為平台係由本土派主導，亦稱唔會參與由本土派主導嘅平台。事實上係平台係由各區區議員嘅民主派代表、各自派代表去參與，並冇可能任何派別可以壟斷到個平台。好似我咁，本人明顯就唔係本土派，只係一個離島區嘅代表。同時，我哋要再三重新去講，平台之內，我哋嘅身份只有一個，就係為民發聲嘅民意代表。今日有朋友只係因為部分籌委嘅背景同身份，杯葛咗個咁重大嘅計劃，令到計劃因成見而夭折，實在非常可惜。希望他日有人可以牽頭重啟呢個平台計劃嘅時候，各方都能夠用最廣闊嘅胸襟去參與。到時我哋一定係第一時間支持。最後，籌委會必須喺呢度向所有曾經為平台籌組付出嘅朋友，以及所有承諾會加入嘅朋友致謝。冇你哋，平台冇能行到呢一步。籌委會亦必須向我哋嘅選民以及全香港人道歉，我哋力有不逮，辜負咗大家嘅期望。
好。好，我做得。
今次籌組平台嘅失敗，雖然極為氣餒，但亦都再次提醒我哋團結同埋勇氣係好重要，更加係探索香港公民社會重組嘅重要一步，為我哋未來如何行落去係提供一個好好嘅參考。2020年今晚就會走到尾聲，喺最後，籌委會祝願香港新一年氣象一新，否極泰來，功成有期。多謝大家。
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Timothy Lee, member of the Kowloon City District Council and the Preparatory Committee. I will now repeat what Mr. Leung said in English. Since the commencement of the anti-extradition bill movement in June 2019, the suppression from the local authorities, as well as the Beijing Communist regime, has been stepping up. Our young brothers and sisters suffer from police brutality on the street and face harsh sentences in court afterwards. Some are even forced to flee their homeland and separate with their families and loved ones for an extended period of time. Since 1997, the values and institutions we hold dear, including civil liberties, democracy, and the rule of law, were given away bit by bit. The freedoms we took for granted were taken away from us. The rule of law was pronounced dead by the courts, no longer being the champion of the people's constitutional rights and the separation of powers. When we seek justice in court, we almost always end up with the judiciary standing with the authorities by upholding the decisions like ousting elected lawmakers and imposing harsh sentences against pro-democracy protesters. On the other hand, we must acknowledge the failure of the so-called democratic devices on which pan-democrats used to rely, such as the elected seats in the Legislative Council in our struggle for a democratic government. The authorities first barred the most outspoken localists, such as Andy Chan and Edward Leung, from running in the 2016 elections. In 2020, they even barred us from voting by cancelling the election and instating an illegitimate prolonged legislature with 4 moderate Democrats also being ousted. Under such circumstances, it is very clear that we, the people of Hong Kong, must organize ourselves outside the institution. We must strengthen our civil society. This is what we must do before we can put up a good fight against the tyranny. That was the reason why a group of district councillors, including some of us, put forward a proposal of a citizens' deliberative platform at the historic joint meeting of 17 district councils on the 6th of June this year. As the motion was carried by members from 12 district councils, the preparatory works for the platform have begun since then. We believe the unity in the democratic camp and the solidarity of the people of Hong Kong will be essential for a better organized and more powerful civil society. And we hope the setting up of this deliberative platform will play an important role towards that. We therefore took tremendous effort in meeting with our pro-democracy friends across district boundaries and political fractions and exchanging our thoughts with them. And our effort did pay off. 27 members joining the preparatory committee included representatives from all 5 major regions and voices from the moderates as well as the localists. Many others have also pledged to join the platform after its launch. Recently, as many of you are aware, pro-Beijing politicians and mouthpieces started a freeze campaign against our proposed platform, accusing this committee of forming an illegal platform and making threats of sanctioning us with the national security law. At this time, we must say the accusations and claims they made have no grounds, legally and factually. Since the very beginning, we have made the proposed platform's objective crystal clear. We want it to be a platform that can truly reflect the opinions of the general public for the goal of bettering Hong Kong people's general well-being. And what we originally planned to do is promoting cross-district cooperation, speaking out for our constituents and striking for their livelihood in issues like the Lantau Tomorrow Landfill Plan, territory-wide bus route improvements, and the future development of Kai Tak Hospital and Queen Elizabeth Hospital. How would the discussion of these topics violate the law? That is the question we want to ask. However, different factions responded differently to the government's threat. One thing we must be honest about. As we have mentioned earlier, the preparatory committee had been meeting with friends across several factions, including members of traditional pan-democratic parties and localist councillors, as well as unaffiliated pro-democracy politicians and frontrunners of the legislative primaries. Despite the time and effort we put, we have failed to obtain favorable replies from some of the traditional moderate parties, some of which have recently opted for delaying their own internal deliberation on their stances about the proposed platform. After pro-Beijing media outlet started circulating rumors that NPCSC might oust pro-democracy district councillors from offices. Individual members of the leadership of those parties remarked quite negatively on the proposed platform, imposing a de facto ban on their fellow members to join it in the future. This series of remarks and actions made our goal to bringing about unity across party lines and political factions very difficult and have shaken the public confidence in our plan. On the 29th of December, the Preparatory Committee held an urgent meeting to discuss our next moves in light of the latest response of those pan-democratic parties. After 3 hours of very difficult deliberation, we came to a very unfortunate conclusion of ceasing the preparatory work for the deliberative platform and discontinuing this committee today, as our very goal of uniting different forces and factions through this proposed platform had become very unlikely. While we wish to stress our understanding and respect for different stances and different response by different parties when facing with such a huge political suppression, we want to remind all friends of the dire situation we all face. Suppression from the regime will just step up. They will not just stop. And it will step up in many forms, like false accusations, white terror, and politically motivated prosecutions. Elected councillors, like ourselves, must carry out our duties despite all that. Especially we are already in a more comfortable position than the general public. Besides talking the talk, we must also walk the walk, and we must do that with hope and courage. This is the duty entrusted on us by our voters and supporters. There are claims that this preparatory committee was indeed led or dominated by localist activists. I want to use this as an opportunity to make our position absolutely clear. Openness and inclusiveness have been the guiding principles of our organizing works, and we had for multiple times invited all councillors from the pro-democracy camp to contribute. In fact, the membership of this preparatory committee includes representatives from each district, from different political factions, and with different political ideologies. There was no person, no party, or no faction whatsoever that single-handedly control over this committee's work. Modifications were made to the original proposal as a direct result of inputs from different stakeholders. We regret that we couldn't make things clearer earlier, and this understanding may have led to this unfortunate end of the platform proposal. If in the future any friends amongst the pro-democracy camp, irrespective of their affiliation, want to restart or even to lead the organizing work for this platform, they will have the full support from each of us. Last but not least, we want to thank all those who had offered us help and those who had already pledged to join the platform after its launch. We wouldn't have achieved what we now have without their support. We want to also apologize to our voters and the people of Hong Kong for letting them down. Our failure teaches all of us an unforgettable lesson about the importance of solidarity and courage, a lesson we must bear in mind if we are to carry on. Today marks the final day of a year of hardship and frustration. As we are set to turn a new page of the city's Canada, we wish Hong Kong a very successful and indeed a very healthy new year. Thank you very much.
喂，好，今日嘅記者會到此為止。咁我哋今日咧係唔會接受提問嘅。咁多謝咁多位出席。That's all for today. We will take no questions now, and thanks again for coming. Thank you.
好，唔該晒大家啦。
我哋呢
Thank you，
唔該晒。
Thank you，唔該晒唔該。